Breaking tonight, close to 19 months of nonstop campaigning, brutal political fights, raucous debates, and an electorate that has found itself sometimes angry, sometimes disgusted, sometimes scared, now finds itself ready to vote on this, the eve of Election Day. It is officially the last night on the trail for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as voters prepare to do their part and render their verdict as the polls close hours from now. Welcome to the Kelly File, everybody. I'm Megyn Kelly. At this time tomorrow, a number of polls will have opened and closed, and we could already know some results in critical swing states. Tonight, the candidates leaving nothing on the table, each working to the very last minute, holding late-night events in key battleground states. Donald Trump is in New Hampshire and in Michigan, Hillary Clinton in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. And if the final polls are any indication, this is good strategy because this race is indeed close. While Hillary Clinton is leading nationally by nearly 3 percentage points in the Real Clear Politics average of all polls, recent polls have shown a very tight race that is within the margin of error. In moments, we'll discuss final strategy with Trump advisor Jason Miller and Clinton supporter Melissa Mark Viverito. But we begin tonight with our chief political correspondent, campaign Carl Cameron, reporting tonight from Manchester, New Hampshire. Carl?
Hi, Megyn, from the Southern New Hampshire University arena here. Donald Trump has packed yet another house. For the last several days, all of his rallies have been in the 10,000 range, sometimes much larger, all in service of a bandwagon and a momentum surge that he hopes will lead to victory tomorrow. He recognizes that some of the polls are very close, that Hillary Clinton has had a longer lead, albeit within the margin of error, than he has. But there's a lot to be said for last-minute momentum, and whether it was an announcement almost 2 weeks ago now that Obamacare premiums were going to go up next year, to the first Comey memo, to the reopening of it, the investigation into her email server, etc., and even the change of heart when the FBI director the other day said that no, they've looked at the new emails and that they are going to stick with their original conclusion. Trump has even turned that into a rally cry, saying, well, if she's not going to get indicted, we'll have to give her justice at the polls tomorrow. From here, he's going to go to Michigan. New Hampshire is a blue state. He won the primary here during the nomination battle, but this is a state that's gone Democrat in the last couple of presidential elections, and he'll go to Michigan next for what's likely to be close to a midnight rally as an illustration of his need and attempt to pick off one or two big Democratic blue states. He needs Florida. He may need Michigan. He'd like to get Pennsylvania. Here's a little bit more of Donald Trump now as he begins his remarks.
If you'd like. He said, but do me a favor, don't read that letter.
Let me send one that's a little bit different. So I figured he was going to take all the good things out, right? Like most gutless people do. But he's the opposite. He's a champ. So he sent me the new letter, and it was much better. It was stronger. See, most people don't do that. Most people are the opposite. Oh, gee, I don't want to get involved. This guy's a true champ. So he writes, Coach Belichick, congratulations on a tremendous campaign. You have dealt with an unbelievable, slanted and negative media and have come out beautifully.
Donald Trump talking about the New England Patriots. Not a stupid thing to do in New Hampshire, so they tell me. And man, they are fighting to the very last minute tonight. As I said, leaving nothing to chance. According to the latest data, some 43 million Americans have already voted in this contest. They're saying maybe we'll have 120 million Americans vote tomorrow. I mean, in total. And that number could top 50 million when all is said and done. It's believed that this number, this early vote, is driven in part by a soaring Latino vote, which could bode well for Hillary Clinton. So what does the Trump campaign make of that? Jason Miller is the Trump campaign's senior communications advisor. Jason, great to see you.
Megyn, thanks for having me.
What does this feel like for you? I mean, this is it. You guys you've given it your all. How does it feel tonight?
It's exciting. We think tomorrow's going to be a special day. I know Mr. Trump has finished the campaign strong. He's been in 5 states each of the last 3 days. This barn burner national tours. He's been going around and shaking hands and giving rally after rally. But we really feel that we've run the race that we've wanted to, that we've closed this campaign out with the energy, the momentum. And if you and I had sat here 2 weeks ago and said that we'd be talking about all the candidates going to Michigan and President Obama and former President Clinton going to Michigan, and this would be a ground zero in a deep blue state, you would have looked at me like I was nuts. But this is how much Donald Trump has changed the map, and this is where the enthusiasm is for his campaign. We think we're going to win tomorrow. We're excited.
Walk us through what that why you believe that? Because, you know, the national polling released today shows she's ahead in all of them. It's 5 new national polls today. Fox has her up by 4, Bloomberg, Clinton up by 3, ABC, WAPO, Clinton up by 4, CBS, Clinton up by 4, Monmouth, Clinton up by 6. So walk us through why, you know, and how he gets there.
Well, there are other national polls, including the LA Times and
That's
Investors.
the only one.
Well, Investors Business Daily, which has Mr. Trump up by 2, and that was found to be one of the top 3 most reliable polls the last couple of cycles. So I'd say that one's very important as well. And there are some others that have it a little bit closer also. But as you look at the state-by-state breakdown, as we talk about those core battleground states of Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, all states where our early and absentee vote totals are ahead of the pace from where we were 4 years ago as a party, and really have Mr. Trump positioned to do well. Plus, then
he's got to win. Just so the viewers know, he has to win those. I mean, he must win Florida and Ohio and North Carolina to get to 270.
They're critical states. They're very important. But here's where the map has changed. So there are also these blue states where Mr. Trump is making a strong play. We take the state of Colorado, which is now all vote by mail, or almost exclusively vote by mail. We went up by 80 votes more than the Democrats as far as ballots returned on Friday. You can tell if they're Republican ballots coming back or Democrat.
So what would that's 9 electoral votes. So if you assume all the Romney states, and he gets North Carolina, he wins Florida, he wins Ohio as well, and he gets to 253. That's sort of what the analysts think. He could get to 253, but he needs 17 more. Colorado's worth 9. Where does he get the remainder?
We think we're very strong in Nevada. We think we have a very good shot to win in Nevada.
Really?
Yes. We also think that
John Ralston, the journalist out there, says he's done in Nevada. I mean, that guy he's known for predicting that race.
Well, respectfully, we disagree, and our models show that Mr. Trump is going to win in Nevada. You look at the state of New Hampshire, where 3 out of the last 4 polls have come out have shown Mr. Trump in front. The 4th poll showed them tied. Great energy and momentum there. And then we talk about Michigan and Pennsylvania, 2 states where Trump
Those are the mother lode when it comes to the electoral votes.
And those are great pickup opportunities. But again, Mr. Trump is putting these states in play that haven't been in play for Republican in years or even decades. This trade message, this message on the economy, taking on Washington, draining the swamp. You've seen it at the rallies. It's completely changed the landscape.
Great to see you, Jason.
Thank you, Megyn.
We'll touch base after tomorrow. As we mentioned, there is one traditionally blue state that Trump is hoping to flip, perhaps more than any other. And with Hillary Clinton in Philadelphia right now, the last night before the election, along with a star-studded cast of supporters, including Bruce Springsteen, there is a growing sense that Democrats may be concerned that Donald could succeed there. Mrs. Clinton and her supporter, her New York City Council Speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito, is here. But first, we go to our Fox national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, following the Clinton campaign with more from Philadelphia. Jennifer?
Good evening, Megyn. President Obama is speaking on stage behind me. Tens of thousands of people have turned out here in Philadelphia to hear Hillary Clinton and the president make their closing arguments. She chose to do this in front of Independence Hall, of course, where the founding fathers adopted the Declaration of Independence and Constitution so long ago. She will join the president on stage shortly from now. She turned to Michelle Obama, the First Lady, to help her make her closing argument. That closing argument that a vote for Donald Trump poses a threat to the very republic that was founded here in the city of brotherly love.
We consider cities where people practice different faiths as objects of suspicion. I'm betting that tomorrow,
According to the Clinton campaign, Democratic volunteers in battleground states this weekend made contact with nearly 14.5 million voters, knocking on 6.2 million doors and calling 8.1 million voters on the phone. Clinton made stops today in Pittsburgh, Michigan, and after leaving Philadelphia tonight, she will be joined by John Bon Jovi on her plane for a midnight rally in North Carolina. Tomorrow, she will cast her vote in Chappaqua, near her home, and then she will wait for the returns to come in and hope to make history as the first woman president of the United States. Back to you, Megyn.
Jennifer, thank you. Joining me now, New York City Council Speaker and Hillary Clinton supporter, Melissa Mark Viverito. Madam Speaker, great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
So let's pick up where Jason Miller left off, which is, of course, these national polls look good for her, but the Clinton camp does seem concerned about Pennsylvania and Michigan. Are they right to be?
Well, I think that clearly, if Florida is won, the game is over. And that is where a lot of the focus. I just came back from Central Florida last night, and a level of energy and enthusiasm among the Latino voters is unbelievable. Hillary's vision of inclusion and really speaking to building an America that works for all is resonating. And to think that the Trump campaign, which started off by denigrating Latinos. It will be Latinos that are going to bring him down and bring this campaign down. So
just
Florida
to add perspective to that, because I did look at that, because we reported last night about the surge in Latino voting in Florida.
Particularly the Puerto Rican vote.
So it's Hispanics up 86.9% in the early vote. They're coming to the polls like they never have before. But the white vote, which is only up 27% from the last time around, that translates, the Hispanic vote translates to 450,000. The white vote is up 900,000. And it's not that Donald Trump is going to win every single white vote, but the conventional wisdom is that will help him. So does it really tell us anything other than what the pollsters say, which is that race is neck and neck?
No, and also Democrats have, in terms of the early votes, have the lead on Republicans. But the historic numbers, not only in Florida, in Colorado, in Nevada, in areas where Latinos are flocking to the votes, is critical. These are instrumental states. But I believe, based on the enthusiasm that I see, the record numbers that I see, the Latinos are going to make the difference in this campaign. And it is in Central Florida where we have seen that explosion happen. And it is the growth of the Puerto Rican community in that state that is really making the difference there. So
if Trump does manage to hold on to Florida, if he manages to, he's looking good in Ohio. He's been behind in North Carolina, but let's say he manages to win North Carolina and Florida. If he could get Pennsylvania, he wins. He could win. So the question to you is whether the Clinton camp has reason to worry there, since there are polls showing Trump within 3 within that state, which hasn't gone Republican in decades.
I don't believe so. Again, I think that the level of energy of the voters coming out is very favorable to the Democrats. And I've seen that in the states that I've visited and also by what we're seeing. So I don't think the polls, which she leads in all of them, but I think in some cases it may even be a wider margin than what that is projecting. So as a mujer, as a woman, as a Latina, I believe in the vision that Hillary is talking about, which is an inclusive vision where my voice and the voice of others like me are going to be at the decision-making table, as opposed to a candidate that wants to build these walls. It is the Latino vote that is going to be decisive, without a doubt. And I think that the record numbers that we're seeing, what we saw in Nevada past couple of days with the Latinos voting, is unbelievable. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night at the Javits Center.
What do you make of there's a narrative that she lacks enthusiasm, that she's got to bring Beyonce out to the rally. She's got to bring Bruce Springsteen. Otherwise, she can't fill the arena like Trump, as you know, can. And that Democrats, even we heard from President Obama today and Mrs. Obama, that you might not love your choice, but it's better than the other choice. I'm paraphrasing.
I don't think that that's the message that we're hearing at all. I mean, if you heard Obama today, and I was listening to it live, and I was at the stadium last night when he spoke in Florida, he talks about his personal experience with Hillary, about how committed she is to this country, how committed she is to building a country.
But are you suggesting Democrats are as enthusiastic this time around as they were for President Obama?
No, I believe there is a level of enthusiasm. When you think this woman is the most vetted candidate in the history, the level of attacks. I was here last week, and I clearly said that there's no there with regards to what Comey was indicating. And clearly that has been proven to be true.
Yeah, but she's still under FBI. I mean, they're still looking into her, Clinton Foundation and so on.
All the attacks over the years have proven to nothing. And I think that people see beyond that right now and are feeling that these are personal attacks.
But just for the record, Madam Speaker, they didn't prove to nothing. They didn't amount to criminal charges. But FBI Director Comey was out there saying she lied, that she has lied repeatedly.
The FBI has clearly said that there is no further work or investigation.
I already gave you that point. I'm making another point. Why aren't you responding to that point?
Which is?
The FBI director called her a liar. He went through one after the other the number of times she lied.
If you can tell me here that everybody is going to speak truthfully 100%, then, I've got a bridge to sell.
When it comes to matters of national security and maintaining our classified documents as the Secretary of State, they should.
That is what Trump is doing, is diversion tactics. He continues to really deflect.
This is relevant to the American people. The polls show they care about this.
Right, but it's not proven to be the case when you look at the record numbers that are coming out.
That she lied? Maybe it doesn't change their vote. Maybe it doesn't change their vote.
Their level of enthusiasm for the nation and the country she wants to build, which includes diverse voices. All the people that you said that have come out to support Hillary, when you look at the wide array of individuals, it reflects a beautiful diversity and mosaic that is this country. That is not what Donald Trump is presenting.
Tell us what your T-shirt says.
Matriarchy now, and that will be true as of tomorrow.
Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Well, tonight we are just hours away from polls opening across America, and the Fox News Decision Desk has made the last set of changes to their electoral college map. We'll break it down with America's top election analysts. Chris Direwalt, Tom Bevan, and Larry Sabato all here with final projections. Plus, a glimpse into what a Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton presidency might look like with former White House insiders Mark Thiessen and Bill Burton. And then we've got Governor Mike Huckabee and Dr. Ben Carson. Last day. This is it. We are just hours away now from the polling places opening nationwide, and Fox News' Decision Desk has made its final set of pre-election day predictions. 5 changes today, 4 in Trump's favor, 1 in Clinton's, leaving us with 4 toss-ups still too close to call. Tonight, 3 of the nation's most respected poll experts are here with us, Chris Direwalt, Tom Bevan, and Larry Sabato. But first, we turn to Trace Gallagher live in our New York studio for the latest update. Trace?
Megyn, you talk about a true toss-up. In the last few hours, the Real Clear Politics average of polls in Florida has flipped. It went from Hillary Clinton leading by 0.2 of a point to Donald Trump now leading by 0.2 of a point. And we could know by early tomorrow evening how Florida is trending because more than 65% of likely voters there have already cast their ballots, which means the remaining votes should be counted fairly quickly. If Trump holds Florida, it could be a very long night, and the Trump campaign will start looking to the northern toss-up states, beginning with North Carolina, where the RCP average has also just changed, trimming Trump's lead from 1.5 points to 1 point. 3 million North Carolina voters cast early ballots. But what's notable is that compared to 2012, fewer Democrats voted early, more Republicans voted early. But what's messing up the pollsters is that 42% more independents also voted early. So if Clinton loses North Carolina, she still has a path to 270, but it gets interesting. Donald Trump's narrow path to 270 runs right through New Hampshire, where Hillary now holds a razor-thin advantage, and both campaigns are all making huge last-minute runs. New Hampshire only has 4 electoral votes, but if Al Gore had won them in 2000, he would have been the 43rd president. Finally, the state of Maine splits its electoral votes, 2 for the statewide winner, 1 each for the congressional districts. Hillary is leading overall, but in the rugged rural north of Maine, some voters who feel kind of left out might give Trump 1 extra electoral vote.
It's amazing how hard he has worked that 1 congressional district, and she has too. Trace, good to see you. Joining us now, Chris Direwalt, our Fox News digital politics editor, Tom Bevan, co-founder and publisher of RealClearPolitics.com, and Dr. Larry Sabato is the director of UVA's Center for Politics. Great to see you all. Let me start with gentlemen on the set. So, Nate Silver, who's been wrong a lot this election. I'm sorry, he has. 538. He got it. He nailed
that
it.
One thing, but
he nailed it. He nailed it 4 years ago, but he was a hot mess during the primary season. But he says Hillary has a 70% chance of winning. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Roughly.
Could you expand on that?
Look, I think Hillary has the advantage. Certainly, we just talked about Trump has a narrow path. He's going to have to do certain things, hold certain states, and perhaps pick off, maybe upset in another state. And so I think she's got the advantage. And roughly, yeah, I would say 30%.
Do you agree with what Jason Miller was saying about Colorado looking very much in play for the Trump campaign?
Not particularly, but we need to be careful when we look at all this early voting data. As Trace was pointing out, we don't know. We can guess based on the counties that they're coming from, the zip codes that they're being mailed in from. We can extrapolate a lot of stuff out of this. But here's something that happens every year now. Every cycle, more people vote early. This year, at least 40% of all the ballots cast in the United States are going to be have already been cast. 40% of the election is already over. And in some states, it's much higher. So every year, we have to bear in mind that level goes up. And so it's harder to extrapolate past results into the future.
Dr. Larry Sabato, you are also predicting, because you don't pull your punches. You always give us a prediction before these presidential races, and you are saying it's going to be Hillary Clinton. You say it's going to be Clinton 322 electoral votes, Trump 216. You say that it'll be a 50-50 tie in the Senate, which if we have a President Clinton means the Democrats control it. Why? Why can't you see the scenario where Trump wins North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, and then flips Pennsylvania, which would do it for him, or Michigan plus one other?
Well, Megyn, I can see it. It's pretty plain
Why
on
don't
a map.
you believe it?
I don't think it's likely. I really don't. Now, by the way, I want to reinforce what Chris just said about the early voting statistics. I have seen these things misused for years, and it's getting worse rather than better. People are claiming to see things they can't possibly see just in the data for early voting. But, Megyn, it goes way beyond that. You know, we now have hundreds of polls in the key battleground states and nationally as well. We've got a pretty good sense of how this has gone. We've been through the scenarios about the hidden Trump vote, and some people claim there's a hidden Hillary vote. I don't think much of it's hidden on either side. I think the odds are very good that Hillary Clinton will be elected president. You can argue about the exact number of electoral votes. God only knows. It could be lower than our projection. It could be higher. But with 322, basically, Clinton can lose some of her key states and still win.
Okay, but let me ask
Trump
you this.
has to carry everything.
Let me ask you this, Larry. What tomorrow night, if you're wrong, if Trump is managing to turn the tables and actually eke out a victory here, What will be the first signs of that in your view? What do you think are the most vulnerable states for her that he might check off?
Well, at the top of the list would be North Carolina. That's one we really struggled over. I think it's extremely close. Second, of course, would be Florida because it's 29 electoral votes. And if he doesn't carry that, Trump has no chance.
Okay.
New Hampshire, you would add. Okay, you look at the East Coast, right? Because we're going to learn pretty much what's going on from there first.
I like that because we'll know early. But what do you think?
Look, another state where the polls close early is Indiana, and there's a hot Senate race there, and Trump's ahead in the polls. It's not like he's going to lose that state, but if he overperforms his polls by 5% or more, then you could say, well, guess what? The Trump voters are showing up at the polls, and that might augur well for him in some of these other states.
You think he got 5 points of overperformance? You think he's got go-go juice in there?
Well, that's an example. But what would be the signs you would look for early? I mean, you're going to get the exit poll results early on in that 5 o'clock hour.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to tell me.
Right.
We're going to come out here and say it like this.
Right. Well, it'll be
semaphore.
I'll be doing a semaphore over here.
So but really, what will you see in there if Trump is headed toward a victory?
So basically it is, for Donald Trump to win, he needs an army of older white voters to basically storm the polls. That's why Michigan is as close as it is. And as a matter of fact, I think that Trump has a better shot in Michigan than he does in Pennsylvania, because there are these voters there. When we look at places, not just Macomb County, but Saginaw County and the places just north of Detroit, there are tons of those voters there. And that's what he needs.
10 electoral votes in Michigan.
Big time. Bigly.
Great to see you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, for months, we have heard Republicans warning about the election and the future of the U.S. Supreme Court. Judge Andrew Napolitano is next on tomorrow's vote and what it means for the Supreme Court of the United States. Plus, former White House insiders Mark Thiessen and Bill Burton weigh in on what the future holds for a President Trump or a President Clinton. And then we'll ask about the closing message from President Obama. Don't go away. Look at that beautiful exterior shot of the Fox News channel. And those are our new studios that we are broadcasting from right now. You're zooming in on where we are. This is where we will be on election night. Brett Baer and yours truly, along with all the cast of characters that you've come to know and love, hopefully here on the Fox News channel all night long for you tomorrow, beginning around 5 o'clock. And just about 24 hours from right now, we may be a whole lot closer to knowing who the next president will be. But the future of the Supreme Court will still hang in the balance. Nearly 8 months ago, President Obama nominated Judge Merrick Garland to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. The Senate has not yet held hearings on Judge Garland's nomination, but that may change after tomorrow. Judge Andrew Napolitano is Fox News senior judicial analyst. He's here with his thoughts. Okay, so if Hillary wins and the Democrats take control of the Senate, the Republicans have a very short window.
Right.
Even though they've said they shouldn't do it and they wouldn't do it, and this Supreme Court replacement should be up to the next president. They were hoping it would be a Republican.
Right.
Do you think they are likely to try to confirm Merrick Garland?
I do. I think they will, because Judge Merrick Garland is the most conservative nominee to the Supreme Court by a Democratic president since 1941, when FDR nominated Bob Jackson as Attorney General.
And he's in his 60s.
Correct. They would ordinarily, in ordinary times, not the divisive times we have today, embrace him as being partially one of theirs. I read every opinion he authored in which the government was a party. And some of the most conservative members of the Senate, who happen to be lawyers, would have signed on to those opinions had they been on the court.
I've been saying for months, Judge, that the Republicans should be so lucky as to get a Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court.
Right.
But there's a question, some think that politically, because Merrick Garland is no Antonin Scalia.
Correct.
And so if they do that, and the first, opinion Merrick Garland joins that's, siding with the libs, people go nuts on those Republicans and vote him out of office.
Right.
The other side is, what if the Republicans retain control of the upper chamber?
And Mrs. Clinton is elected.
And they say, forget Merrick Garland, let's see who she nominates, and nobody's getting a vote.
They would do a tremendous disservice to the court, to the judiciary, and ultimately to their own control of the Senate. In 2018, 2 years from now, the Republicans will have to defend 27 out of 34 seats. They would be clobbered, I think, by an electorate for having crippled the Supreme Court, which is basically evenly divided. 4 conservatives, 4 progressives. Occasionally, one of those conservatives, Justice Kennedy, sides with progressives on social issues. He doesn't on issues of the role of the federal government and federalism.
This is the crazy thing. So these are the stakes tomorrow. If the next Supreme Court justice is nominated by a Democrat, and keep in mind Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal, is 83, Stephen Breyer, a liberal, is 78.
Right.
It would be the first time since 1969 that 5 justices on the high court would be Democratic appointees. So that's amazing.
President Obama's successor will have more of an opportunity to shape the court than any president since Richard Nixon, 69, who had more of an opportunity than any president since FDR, who was in the White House for 12 years. It's just the coincidence of when people age. Two that are up there, Justice Anthony Kennedy is 80, same age as Justice Scalia was when he passed away.
How weird to be a Supreme Court justice and have all these people speculating about when you're going to die.
I know. It's
so
terrible.
He'll die soon, and then they'll...
I didn't say die. They just may want a more relaxed life.
Great to see you, Judge.
Am I one of those characters that'll be on with you tomorrow night?
You've got my nomination. That's where I want to send you.
God
off to SCOTUS.
God love you.
Joining us now, two former presidential hopefuls, Governor Mike Huckabee and Dr. Ben Carson. Great to see you both. Let me start with you, Governor, here on the set. When you look back, what are you going to remember most about this election?
Losing. That's what I'm going to remember the most. I mean, I'm going to remember what a disruptive election it has been. But it has been a game-changing election in which the people of America have stood up and spoken up and have said enough. We're sick of the institutions. They have failed us. The financial, the media institutions, government has failed us, and we're tired of it. And you know what? I think that in many ways the people are exactly right. They feel like that pigeons overhead have come and have done their duty all over their heads. And this time they're going to shoot some pigeons tomorrow. I still believe Donald Trump wins.
I want to get you to that because I know you believe in the hidden Trump vote. But Dr. Carson, let me ask you, when you look back, what do you remember most about the past 16 months?
Well, I remember that I came to understand the level of corruption that exists within our system. I knew it was corrupt before, but throughout every aspect of it, I didn't expect that, and particularly the collusion with the media. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I remember the most are the people all over this country, in the smallest hamlets to the largest cities. The people themselves have a great deal of wisdom and a great deal of concern about what's going on, and they're depending on somebody to fix it.
It's incredible because Dr. Carson has told a story about meeting some of the people he operated on, and he took out half of somebody's brain and then met that person years later, and the guy was walking around with half a brain and had just graduated from college. Was that the story?
Number one in his class, absolutely, with half of a brain. Pretty amazing story.
It's unbelievable. All right, wait, I want to ask Governor Huckabee about the hidden Trump vote because you do not believe these pollsters. Explain.
Well, I think that there are an enormous number of Americans who don't want to say they're voting for Donald Trump because they know they're going to be called a racist, a bigot, a misogynist, a xenophobe. And nobody likes to be called names unless they're in the political arena, then they get used to it. So I think that you're going to see a lot of people, the silent majority, speak. I could be wrong. I could be real wrong. And if I am, I'm going to be wrong in a colossal way. But Donald Trump has touched a nerve. And part of it is that he went to the podium and said into the microphone what people were saying at the coffee shop when they leaned in closely and talked to their close friends. I do think that there is an extraordinary sense of connection to Donald Trump for a lot of those people.
Do you think that's true, Dr. Carson? Do you believe in this hidden Trump vote? I mean, we got reputable pollsters saying there isn't any evidence of it.
I think there is that element, but I also think there'll be a lot of Democrats who are going to be voting for Donald Trump. I see them all the time. I get on an airplane, people come up to me and they say, I'm a Democrat, but I'm voting for Trump. Mm-hmm. They have standards too, and they're not necessarily accepting of corruption in government just because they're Democrats.
Well, listen, I can say, as the host of the Kelly File, it's been a pleasure having both of you guys on this show over the past couple of years to speak about your campaigns, the launch, the highs and lows, and you've always been class act.